were given to me by the President through Operation Wealth Creation. I received 200 mango seedlings, and I planted all, and they are all doing well. Apart from this venture, I got money from PDM last year. I got 880,000. And I used 800,000 for buying 10 goats. And the goats are there. They have multiplied. They are now 16. Part of the money of PDM I used for buying cassava stems. Through that money, I've managed to plant 2 acres of cassava. They are now doing well. The first acre I intend to harvest next year in January. Then for the mangoes, you are seeing, I started harvesting last year in 2023. The first harvest, I got 6 million. That was in June. Then second harvest in September, November, not September, November, I got another 6 million. So last year, from these mangoes, I got 12 million shillings. I've been selling to the people around. Actually, Soroti Fruit Factory has booked this mango. They want me to take these mangoes tomorrow, 2025, to the factory. Actually, I've been selling locally. I've been selling 1 at 500 shillings, 2 1,000. And people are buying. These mangoes are very good. The mangoes trees you are seeing here are giving me money, a lot of money. And I want to thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Kaguta Museveni, for coming up with the idea of Operation Wealth Creation in the country. This is money. I am not going to suffer. My children will not suffer because of this wealth. I call it wealth now. I always harvest. I don't harvest mango. I harvest money, not mangoes. So I want to thank our President so much. And next year, if all goes well, I expect to get 18 million first harvest. And then second harvest, I also expect to get 18 million.
So now there, you have another Magaga in Karamoja. Because you remember Magaga, the father of General Kavuma, told me that he did not know what to do with the money. He said he didn't enter. He said in Shoveri, every 15 days I get money. Now here you have got this man from Abim saying that I'm not going to suffer, my family will not suffer, bye-bye to poverty. He's here speaking in English, and he speaks very clear English. That's why I like that video. With the big farmers and the manufacturers, the government has put a total of Ugandan shillings 1,600 billion in the UDB. Because the question was, once we started preaching, stop working for the stomach only, work for the stomach and the pocket. Some of the communities in the cattle corridor, they didn't ask for capital. They moved without capital. They used their own capital. The only thing we gave them was advice. But in the other areas, they didn't have the indigenous, because for them they had indigenous cows. They converted them and they got capital, many of them. But in other areas, it was not so easy. So that's why we started with the Entandikwa and NADS and Operation Wealth Creation and now PDM. But this is for the smaller people. The question is now, how about the big farmers and the manufacturers? Yes, we have not forgotten those. With the big farmers, and the manufacturers, the government has put a total of Uganda shillings 1,600 billion in the UDB. The interest rate for that money is 12% per annum. The interest rate for PDM is 6% per annum and payable after 2 years. Hence, for shillings 1 million, the borrower will return shillings 1.2 million for PDM. We are always creating other funds for the ghettos, for the musicians, etc. So capital is not a problem. Unlike the colonial agents who never want to plan for Africa, we have told Ugandans that our economy has got potential in 4 sectors. Services, commercial agriculture, manufacturing, and ICT. The president is here. Parliament is here. Once people have woken up from sleep and they want low-cost capital, if the shillings 100 million per parish per annum or any other fund is not enough, we can increase the money by adjusting from other areas. With the cattle corridor, we did not wait for low-interest capital. As already said, our only contribution to them was the word. In the cattle corridor, the work there was a chigambo, like the one with the Bible. In the beginning, there was the word. The word was God. There we just used the word. In the other areas, we use the word and the capital is there. Small capital for small things, big capital for big things. The advice was to go from nomadism to sedentary agriculture, to go from Mokore Chidachonka to working for the stomach and for the pocket, and do so with the Chibaro. Additionally, in the cattle corridor, I gave 20 milk coolers that had been brought by Danida. That was all. They converted their indigenous Ankole cattle in half-breeds, Ebiwa with Frisians, and they took off. However, wealth creation cannot take place if there is no peace, no law and order, and supportive infrastructure in the country. The UPDF always guarantees peace in the country. The police and judiciary must ensure law and order. The NRM has struggled to stomach, so with infrastructure, our scorecard is clear and must not be allowed to be spoiled. The NRM has struggled to stomach the core national Aru, Nimure, and Musingo in the north. These are all linked by tarmac roads. Then the tarmac roads continuous from the north through the Kampala area to Kachitumba, Gatuna, Chanika, and Bunagana in the south. The mistake has been by the Ministry of Works to allow these roads to deteriorate, and then we start to doing heavy work afterwards. The new ministers must ensure. I don't want to see what happened to some of the roads like the Fort Portal Road. But there's a story about that Fort Portal Road. There's a story of corruption in that road. I hope the new team will deal with that issue. We have tarmacked the road from east to west, from Busia, Wahaha, Swam, Amudat, all the way to Mpondwe, Busunga, and Ishasha in the west. This does not include the tarmac roads linking to the water bodies that are also transport connections, such as Jinja. Because when you have the tarmac road up to Jinja, you go into the water, you cross by ferry to Mwanza, to Kisumu, wherever you want to go. Majanji, Port Bell, Bukiava, Kaisotonya, Bukakata, there are tarmac roads going up to these water bodies. We are revamping the meter gauge railway and building the standard gauge one. We are working with Kenya and Tanzania on the pipelines for the crude petroleum products and for the refined petroleum products. This will move cargo, heavy cargo, away from the roads to the railway, and petroleum products from the roads to the pipeline. In the coming years, we will no longer see tankers on the road, petrol tankers. They should not be on the road. Petrol should go by pipe. Should not be competing with the cars. That leaves the roads for only passengers and light cargo. The Maram roads must be maintained always. Where the 3 billion shillings per district, which we send, cham, they just eat it. If it is not enough, why not bring up the matter? You, the members of parliament, if you think that the 3 billion per district is not enough, bring it up. And we cut money from somewhere and we make sure the roads are worked on. Instead of just keeping quiet, and you find the Maram road from Lira to my village in Barregi, it was terrible. It was very bad. It had not been maintained for a long time. Therefore, the NRM has identified all the requirements for building a prosperous Uganda. The NRM has also provided for the means for individuals, families, or companies that want to be part of the socio-economic transformation story. As I've said before, our mission has been to ensure that the individuals, the families, or the companies that listen to our message are assisted to be wealth and jobs creators. Right from the beginning, we realized that the internal factors are crucial, but not enough to ensure the socio-economic transformation of Uganda. We need to answer the question, in quotes, if the individuals, families, or companies create wealth and produce products and services in 4 sectors of commercial agriculture, manufacturing, services, and ICT, is the internal market enough? Is the internal market enough of these African countries? Our answer was no. The internal market cannot be enough. Indeed, if the internal markets were enough, why would a country like China, with 1.3 billion people, or India, with 1.4 billion people, be looking for external markets? Hence, ever since the 1960s, we have been having a Pan-African agenda on top of the patriotic agenda within Uganda. The Pan-African agenda was aimed at the economic integration of the whole of Africa in a continental market and for the political integration within East Africa, leading to the political federation of East Africa. The economic integration would deal with the prosperity of the African people, while the political integration of the parts of Africa that are compatible would deal with the strategic security of Africa, especially defense on land, in the air, at sea, and in space. Therefore, for the wealth creators of Uganda, most of the factors are in place now. That is why we are now saying no more sleep, no more Kongora, leaning on your hoe while others are working. No more Kugumaza, diverting people's attention. No more corruption. And no more politeness to non-performers who want leadership for ego and personal interests. We must ensure that Enjuku Unju, house to house, ought be ought in our Luo language. Ensure that Enjukunju, for the families with the land, they get into the money economy with the Chibaro. The ones without land, their solution is the Myoga, skills. Indeed, we also need to know that with increasing population, it will be neither possible nor necessary for everybody to have land. That is why there are other sectors, manufacturing and artisanship, services, ICT, e.g. transport, entertainment, ICT, e.g. BPOs. In the developed countries, very few people own land. I saw in the Negative Monitor newspaper an article by an individual known as Gawaya Tegure, who is always writing mendaciously and maliciously, saying that Uganda has been wandering in the desert for 40 years, like the children of Israel. Those who are wandering in the desert are partly those who listen to those liars. If you listen to the liars, you will wander in the desert. It is true that many of the leaders do not amplify this message of how people can get out of poverty. However, those who do change their lives. I understand Gawaya comes from Bugwere area. Let him visit Mama Nabutono and her husband of Buko de Seru Kasasera Ward, Kasasera Town Council. Let's see Mama Nabutono if you have her.
Amalina gange ninze Roda Benedict Bakulubanywa nganzwera muzone gyebeta Bupoda Bali Silageta Kasasira Ward Kasasira Town Council Kibuku County Kibuku District tandikira ka project ga isuno mkyala wange Nautono Florence kakulisha embizi umwaka 1993 embizi gendwalishanga gino ija bulijjo lokolo breed tugirisire mpola nenge ndishera ati ni ya mulembe tugirisha isubi tugirisha ku muwogo na maolu program ya PDM ya izire akati awo baina ba advisor aba external field extension workers ganyo mwamabola yalambulanga aka project ga izikembizi atwangu magezi nde project eno mujongera magezi umaiseyo ufune kembizi ya mulembe
nafunire esente ja Parisimodo Banka na emtwale chedamu nana nagise nagyongeiro omukapito yange nkaire embizi giteja loko ningula embizi abirira nikibyala omumbizi ejo eja byaire nitunda bana nikoba nti nakomano ningulamu esekoko jona ndikulisya esente gindi ninkozesa efizi okubaana.
You know, when they are speaking,
Era
when they are speaking Rugwele, they speak Nyankore in their own way, but I can for everything. So they had some local pigs before, but when PDM came, they bought the modern ones. Rugwele, they speak Nyankore, also mix it with the Nyarwanda. Kubyara is the Nyarwanda or what? No, Nyarwanda is a bit different. So now they have pigs. They have also Sekoko. I didn't know anything about Sekoko myself. They're the ones who exposed me. So once the people get capital, they will do their own things, like Nabutono there. Uganda has gone through 5 phases of positive development. These are the recovery phase of the colonial enclave economy and ending the informalization of the economy into Magendo, Chibanda, and Kusamura. That was smuggling, forex black market, and speculation. Following the destruction of the economy by Idi Amin. Expanding the enclave economy, diversifying it. That is how the dairy sector changed the cattle corridor. And the cassava is changing in many parts of Uganda. These are totally new cash products. Very addition to some of the raw materials, e.g. gold, and the knowledge economy of the automobiles, vaccines, computers, etc. What is high-sounding sloganeering there? Well, that's what the other gentleman was saying, that's just slogans. These are achievements on the ground. Let's go to nearby Mbari Industrial Park. Show us the industrial park. Mbari. How can you call that a slogan? Is that a slogan? It is sloganeering. I think now they were saying there were like more than 80 factories there, 12,000 workers in that area. These are achievements on the ground. Let Gawaya go to nearby Mbari Industrial Park. How can such a park be a desert where there is no water or peace or production? Yes, there are problems of the issues like drugs in health centers. That is why, another time I will talk more about this, the issue of service delivery. That is why the NRM introduced democracy from the very beginning by getting people to elect the committees of the resistance councils. Especially in the Bukit area, FOBA, the group of who are saying they were following Obote, started killing those elected leaders until we crushed FOBA. Elect people who help in exposing those mistakes. You have the power. Another time I'll speak about that, because the parishes are in Uganda, and everywhere there is local leadership, especially the sub-county, and there are councillors. Why should things go wrong when all those leaders are there? Of course, even the government is also responsible, because they are the GISOs in every sub-county. Why would things go wrong and the GISO doesn't know? And the DISO. The facts of the matter are that with the limited waking up, where 67% of the homesteads as compared to 9%, because in 1962, only 9% of the people were in the money economy. Only 9%. When I checked in 2013, only 32% were in the money economy. But as we speak now, 67% of the homesteads are in the money economy. And Uganda has graduated from the least developed countries to a lower middle income country. Our GDP rose from 3.9 billion in 1986 to now 69.3 billion by forex exchange method and 197.1 billion by the PPP method. The GDP per capita has risen to US dollars 1,278, while the threshold for lower middle income status is $1,136. Household poverty has declined from 56% in 1992 to now 16.1%. Life expectancy was 43 years in 1986. It was 46 in 1992, but it had come down to 43 by 1986 because of the chaos which Amin created. It had come from 43. It is now 68 years. The infant mortality rate was 122 for 1,000 born alive. It is now 36 for 1,000 born alive. In other words, our economy has expanded more than 17 times in the last 40 years of recovery, expansion, diversification, value addition, entering the knowledge economy, and transformation. This year, the economy is projected to grow at 6.4%, and the next year, the GDP will grow by 10%, pushing the size of the economy to US dollars 80 billion. All this is before the start of the flow of our commercial oil. In the last 15 years alone, the country has added 31 new products to the export basket. Uganda now exports manufactured goods, including pharmaceuticals, refined gold, steel, ICT products, ceramics, plastics, the dairy products already talked about. Uganda's exports have reached US dollars 18 billion in the 12 months ending in March 2026. The 67% of the people that have listened to our messages and friends from outside that have invested here have turned our economy into a country of surpluses. Milk, 5.4 billion liters from 200 million liters in 1986. Fish, 727,000. Coffee, 9.3 million 60 kilogram bags from 2 million bags in 1986. 76,000 metric tons of cocoa. Cement, from about 5,000 tons to 7 million metric tons of cement. Maize, from 200,000, 5 million metric tons. Bananas, from 6.6 million to 11 million metric tons. Cassava, from 3.5 million to 4.5 million metric tons. Sugar, from 150,000 to 700,000 metric tons. We are now set for further and faster growth and transformation. With electricity, we have moved from 60 megawatts in 1986 to now 2,098 megawatts. We are, however, aiming at 50,000 megawatts from hydro, solar, gas, wind, nuclear, and geothermal. Therefore, all the leaders must ensure that those programs are downloaded in their respective areas. In the next 5 years, all the households with land must get the low interest capital in the form of PDM. You, the leaders, you must ensure this. You must go up to the parish levels. You may not be serving the parish, but you call the parish chiefs at the constituency level and make sure they do their work. If they don't do their work, we shall sack all of them. There's already 557 million in the parish. I was saying 800 million in the other address, but there's now because when the PDM started, initially they sent less than 100 million per year. So they are now saying the money which is in the parish, including the one of payback, is 557 million in the parish. And it has reached 3.7 million households. We are going to put shillings 100 million plus 15 million for the leaders per annum per parish in the rural areas, and shillings 300 million plus 15 million for the leaders per ward in the towns. Uganda shilling 760 billion has gone for the Myoga, operating from the constituency level. Where is that money? How many and which Myoga associations have benefited from this money? There's one of the young people who was involved with the Myoga money. Fortunately, he was elected as a member of parliament for Kasanda area. Bisaso, is the Bisaso here? Where's the Bisaso? Oh, I'm not allowed to, because I'm not allowed to speak, to say anything, and the other people are not supposed to stand up or walk or what. Is the Bisaso here? Ah, that's how Bisaso looks like. He knows about Myoga, that man. Thank you. On account of peace, some traders have generated a lot of capital through imports. These are the ones that built arcades, real estate. The young lady called Nanteza that is always showcasing on UBC the different real estate developers. Have you seen Nanteza? If you have captured her, she's always showing how rich people are. Let her speak also. Where is she? You have suppressed her. Those are all real estate built by your people. Where is Nantes? You suppressed her. I'm not Nantes or Nadako. Because I've been watching her show. Every Sunday she's always showing. So, there is poverty in Uganda, but there's also wealth, because those are Ugandans. Those are Ugandans. A Ugandan returnee from abroad was recently trying to buy a flat in the Kampala area. And they were demanding US dollars 1.2 million. A Ugandan who was come from outside came back. You know, when you are outside, they think that Uganda is in poverty. So this Ugandan came back, was looking for a flat. And the flats were selling at $1.2 million. And as she was trying to mobilize the money, the resident Ugandans had bought all the flats. So when she came back, they said, sorry, all the flats are sold. She was amazed. In the Exos area, I have 9 villages with 2,048 homesteads now. As of today, all the 2,048 homesteads have joined the money economy with coffee, bananas, dairy farming, goat rearing, and poultry. Let me see my exposed areas, if you have put some.
Manya gange Zerule John ni musajja mulimi nundayo nimanyo kusinga nimanye mwanyi ni makasoli ebitooke nalanisa n'okulima ennyaanya naye njala kwebaza nnyo President Museveni kubanga yasanga tutumanyi kyakkola kusooka nga ettaka lyaffe lyerisinga obulungi wano mu disitulikiti y'Egombe naye ettaka lyonna nga mbizi za musiko mwezisula. President bwe yatuweereza abatusomesa ne batuyigiriza engeri gy'osobola okulima emmere bwe twava mu mmere kati abaasooka okulabuka ate kakati tuli basajja bagagga. So ekitiibwa kyonna kyonna kitiibwa President Museveni. Okusooka byonna President yampa ebitooke nalima yiika 5 ebitooke ebyo nakuŋŋanya $2.27 mu bitooke. Endala ezaweerera abaana ze nali sizibala naye bwe nafunanga katugeze $1,000,000 nga nteekako $3,000 oba 5 ensevinga $2.27. Kakati mu season ewedde emmwanyi zokka nga nzigyeko ze nateekamu kubanga nze ebiseera ebisinga sibala zentaddemu saagala kuzibala. Njagala bwe mmala ze njagala okukubuulira ng'emagoba nafuna $15,000,000 nenyongerako season eyo ey'emmwanyi nenzimba ennyumba yali ya $9.3 nenjizimba era naawe weeri nagulawo obuguzi nagulawo $9,000,000 waliwo eyiika emu n'ekitundu. Nina abaana 6 bonna bali kusomera kati ekyo nakyo magoba nguzeeko ebibanja kubanga fe abalimi obudde bwona bw'olowoleza mu kulima kati bukaseera wobeera kiba tekikumala kirala nengulamu mulo motoka nagigula $48,000 ebirala nonzeeko ninayo obutebutono ate ninayo n'obuguzi bwayo nira nabwo buva mu maanyi President zampadde. Naye tuyina ebitusomooza. Ekisooka emmwanyi zino zirina akawuka sobola okulagako nga bino kubanga abatuyigiriza abalimisa batugamba nti ogenda obinojjola kugeza nga kino kati okalaba kano kati amakungula ga kano gandibadde nga kano.
When I first went to Kisozi in 1990, they were all democratically poor. They had no idea of money. I would go very early in the morning to see my cows, and by 9 they would be sitting in the trading centers on the verandas. Muli mutya banange tuli bulungi. Mukola ki? Tuli awo. They are just there. They are doing what? Tuli awo. Esente muzijjawa ate munange tuziraba. Money is not seen. Mpozo otuwayo akasente, that's what they would do. They would ask me for money. So I really started fighting with those people. So please generate your own money. Now I'm very glad that initially the homesteads were 1,300, I think. Now they are 2,448. They all are in the money economy. I don't want to be in a parish where there are homes where people are in poverty and they're just contented. I visited a parish in Rubirizi some years ago called Ndangaro. There are 2,500 homesteads. And they were all poor, no money. Very rich area, it's a volcanic area with very, very fertile soil, but the advice of what to do. They said, we are all poor here, except one man called Kateva, who had 7 pigs. This is the one who was rich. Kateva. Shana Kateva no mugaiga. Inte ineksh, ainem pulu mshanju. Kana ishakadio mugaiga, uneshana wakadio mugaiga, na wakawa ainem pulu mshanju. This is terrible. And you find the leaders, the political leaders, even the church leaders. I started calling with the church leaders. I went to Chikoni, in Tungamo. This is what they call Amajesha. Amakungura, they bring it to God. I saw one woman bringing one egg. That he's bringing one egg to God. After 1 year. Walking very, 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 very humble as if she's going to heaven that time. This is terrible. You cannot have people like this. Please, honorable members, allow me to show you that woman of Rubiris again. That God called what? To himself one. The one of Rubiris.
Amazina mbanyita Tumusime Dezerata omutuze wa Rubirizi district ate yimirira nti omuseri ya Kizulugo nisima president wa Uganda ayatwire PDM nyokuranyine emyaka nkaga nina nkatene chinda tungira haka.
Now that's the statement that I want you to capture. That she was 64 years that time, but she had never owned anything in her life. You imagine that. What sort of society? And she has got children. Then what? How would the family be? Eh? I showed you the other time appeal. Let's see appeal again. Of leader.
Anya PVT aburi wana ti nana alingiri sel ti Banya ward ti my town council ti Lira district.
Our name is Apio Piki, a resident of Aling Risel, Banya ward, Amach Town Council in Lira district.
Hagamu shene me PDM yari ariyetirwa adek
She got the money for PDM in 2023.
laha bongwen tutumia pira beru eno kene tetema ya tang
970,000 and then 30,000 remaining in the bank.
ate binu furu kara chel kede nyuagi
She planted maize.
awelo nyuagi saket sapara bich
She bought maize 15 sackets,
wel me tutumia pira dek yario
30,000 each sacket.
ate kele te furu por mergena deku dushu furu eka sadek
She used it, actually she planted it in 3 acres of land.
furu tutumia pira bich manu laha chele nushu
Preparing the garden cost her 150 for the 3 acres.
adao tutumia pira bich
Weeding cost her 50,000.
akiru tutumia pira ngwen
Then spraying cost her 40,000.
ate tunu dokoi kwanyo kelo pashu
Time for harvest.
atiyo kara chel kede joma
It's called the story of Apio. She had been married for 20 years. And she has got adult children, like 18 and so on, teenagers. But she had never handled 1 million shillings in her life. She did not have land. When she got land, she didn't even, when she got the 1 million shillings, She didn't have her own land. She had to go and hire 3 acres from somebody else, grow maize, sell the maize, put some of the money back into agriculture, and then buy those sheep, the ones you saw. When I was there in the campaign, she told me she had now 60 sheep. Then me, I didn't know about sheep. So who buys sheep? She's the one who told me that, no, South Sudanese like sheep, they buy. So these people, our people are really clever people if they are supported. They even know things we don't know. I didn't know sheep, that sheep, even dreaming in my dream, I can't dream sheep. But for her, she knew that sheep has got a market in South Sudan. Nabutono, I don't know who buys the Sekoko, I have no idea. But they know. So what they lack is support. So therefore, I want the Exos model. I don't want to live in a parish where there are poor people. That's what I told them. I want to go to heaven. I don't want the angels to block me, say you are an Exosi, you are neighboring poor people, you kept quiet. So I must tell you, I told them. Now you saw the house of let's see that man. Show us his house, his coffee. Show us again, the man of Exosi. See the house, see the car, house, car, coffee. That's how they are now. So the leadership is not for ego, but for the people and the country. In agriculture, it is possible to have pan-Ugandan rural transformation. In the Exosi area, I have 9 villages with 2,048 homesteads now. As of today, all the 2,048 homesteads have joined the money economy with coffee, bananas, dairy farming, goat rearing, and poultry. You didn't show my manager of Exosi, Narwanga. Don't you have her picture? I've got a girl whom I educated from P2. She went to Tundeje, now she's the one managing. Narwanga, these people don't like my useful people. Narwanga tebamwagala bano. In the cattle corridor, most of the original families have joined the money economy through the dairy economy. In order to stabilize agriculture, we are addressing the issue of irrigation. Apart from the big irrigation schemes such as Mobuku, Doho, etc., we are developing many micro solar powered irrigation schemes, working with the British group known as Nexus Green. As we speak, they have worked with the government to put solar powered irrigation schemes in Angola, Serere, Bukedea, Amoratar, Kwanya, Apache, Kasanda, Masaka, Mukono. Those are some of the irrigation schemes. In conclusion, however, the 2 residual problems with the peasantry are, as I pointed out above, some of them still relying on Oxetura, free range, which underutilizes the land. a square mile of well-cleared farm, no bushes, no mtete, no shrubs, no acacia, will cater for 300 longhorn cattle, including the calves. With pasture growing and zero grazing, a square mile will cater for 6,000 cattle. 6,000 cattle can be fed by a square mile of where you grow the pasture. With free range, you need 3 acres for 1 cow. With zero grazing, 1 acre can support 8 Frisian cattle and 12 Ankole ones. We are aggressively sensitizing them on this. The other residual issue is the primitivity of poverty fragmentation in the form of inheritance after the head of the family has died. These recent arrivals from poverty need to be sensitized about family companies instead of individual inheritance. With these measures and those earlier mentioned, we shall have massive production and will also create jobs for hundreds of millions of Ugandans and the Africans from the neighboring countries. All this is before you add manufacturing, services, and ICT. In this speech, I've spent more time on agriculture. It's not because I don't know, I'm not aware of the other sectors. But this is where many of our people can all move more easily. This is why I'm emphasizing it, especially for you, the new members of parliament. Now, in conclusion, the main problem I have seen in all these 65 years, when I have been active, it has been obutamanya, ignorance, and okwenyoma. Africans underrate themselves. They like what other people do. They don't know how useful what they do is. Our friend Basangwa, show them Basangwa again.
Basangwa Johnson, Managing Director wa Jaka Poultry Farm. Jaka Poultry Farm eyaganibwa Bukwenge, Kamuli Municipality, Kamuli District. Mu 2007 twatandika obulunzi nga tutandikira mu Kamuli Town Council. By then mu plot yali 50 feet by 100 feet. There's a foot atano ku 10 edeitaka. Tutandika tutya twali nga tulina ebyobufuzi wano mu Kamuli nga waliwo ensonga nga chairman wero C5 omugenzi Kawuga bamwidukira Katonda mu ekyumulo eky'emirembe nga bamutoyiremu abantu bangi abatamu application nga bali kwenda okufuuka ba chairman ba 5. Ayi president yaida yatulungamya yakoba twana abantu mwena temusobola kuba ba chairman ba 5. Aye abantu mujje mukola emirimu egindi ng'okulunda yayogera kulunda embiti okulunda enkoko byonna yabyogera. Nze napikinga mu ky'okulunda enkoko n'atandika efaamu mu 2007 n'enkoko 5. Sawa dino wendogerera ku faamu kuno kize mabega ntambwire. President yaida yankyalira mu 2010 nga ndina enkoko 5,000 yasanuka ino. Sawa dino tutambwire tulina enkoko 2,000 mulala tufulumya amagi etule 2,000 buli lunaku. Etule 2,000 livaamu milioni 2 buli lunaku. Omwezi diba milioni 6. Omwaka tuba tuli mu bilioni ze 6 n'ekitundu etuba tukola kuyingiza. So tuwulirisa omulamwa gwa president okuva ku kiseera ekyo twakati tukigiireko. President awaire musanufu ino ku bintu byenkoze era nga buli kaseera nkyekingako. Wendogerera kati tulina abakozi 300.
Now, that is the story of Basangwa, how he listened to my message in 2007 and started with a small plot for poultry and eggs. is now selling 2,000 trays per day, earning 20 million shillings a day. Now, during the campaign or one of those times, I was showing these pictures, these videos. People in UK, Ugandans in diaspora, we are watching. They watch, even the ones who are in the diaspora. So when they saw me showing Basangwa earning 20 million shillings a day, say, Museveni alimba. Museveni is telling lies. How can anybody in Uganda earn 20 million shillings a day? Let's go and see. People came from UK to come and see. They say this picture, which Museveni showed, was taken somewhere else. It's not in Uganda. So they came, Ugandans from UK, they came to check the lie of Museveni. How can Ugandans earn 20 million shillings a day? How can somebody earn 20 million shillings a day? So they came and they visited Basango. They were shocked to know that what I was saying was actually true. Now, they have actually invited Basango to go and become a lecturer there in the diaspora, to go and visit them. He came and told me, say, they have invited me, the diaspora have invited me. They didn't believe. This is where the problem is. And when we were talking about these things at Ntare in the school in 1960, they said, Museveni is a communist. He's not. They didn't believe. They didn't believe that Ankole cattle were useful. They were teaching in the school that Ankole cows are neither good for meat nor for milk. Really, but I grew with the cows. I said, go to hell. I will never live with the Ankole cows. You want to see them, you show them my cows. Madre. How can people? Now these are the most precious cows. The other day Ramaphosa sold one of our cows for 200 million shillings, 187 million. So this is what I have seen. I think the main problem is ignorance and okwenyoma, not having confidence in oneself. I think this is really the main problem. To find people going to work in Dubai, what are you going to do in Dubai? A desert. Dubai. What are you going to do in Dubai? When I go there, I pray that I come back quickly. The temple, the climate, the what? You live paradise here. This is paradise. You go to work in those places. It is inferiority complex, ignorance, poor leadership, uprooted. People who have no roots. I am rooted here. My roots are here. There is nothing I don't know. I grew with our culture. I'm able to know what should be forgotten because it was not scientific enough, but much of it is correct and can be updated. So with these few words, I present the government's legislative program to the parliament. It is in Annex 1 here, no, Annex 2. There are so many bills which Prime Minister will present to Parliament, the ministers will present the bill for building substances, the small arms, light weapons control, amendment of universities and other tertiary institutions, and there are so many of them here. The laws I will present, my ministers will present to Parliament. There are so many. 38 of them, 38 bills which will be presented. Right Honorable Speaker, I present.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Please accept our appreciation for your clear and concise exposition of government policy in your address on the state of the nation. The government's legislative agenda, as contained in your address, will be prioritized pursuant to Rule 26(1) of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, as and when the front bench introduces them. And I think the Right Honorable Prime Minister, in our first business committee meeting, you will ably do that. Honorable members, today's address by His Excellency will not elicit any comment or question, as per Rule 10, Sub-Rule 4A of the Rules of Procedure. However, at a later date during the session, in consultation with the Business Committee, debate on the President's address on the state of the nation will be scheduled in line with Rule 26(1) of the Rules of Procedure. Honorable members, as you may already be aware, on Thursday, 11th of June, 2026, His Excellency the President will deliver the budget speech pursuant to Article 1551 of the Constitution. I therefore urge you all to accordingly take note, and it will take place right here in Kololo ceremony. And I once again want to thank you, Your Excellency, and all dignitaries and invited guests for gracing this function. And my appeal to you all, honorable members of the 12th Parliament, let's stand to be counted, to be the members of Parliament who will sleep no more, to be the members of Parliament who will be remembered for waking up ourselves and waking up our people towards the money economy. We should resolve today to be the generational leaders who do not only listen, but also act on the guidance of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. May God bless you all. Thank you for your kind attention.
The anthems. and His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has put everything in black and white. As we wait for the departure of the head of state and in protocol formation, the Speaker, the Chief Justice and the Deputy Speaker and the Vice President will also be leaving. We want to thank you, and really we are very honored that you have been part of this broadcast. The President has put everything in black and white, mainly to the leaders.
When we will receive the budget speech.
A very much important announcement by the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Jacob Maxson Oboth. He has invited members of the 12th Parliament back to this same place on the 11th of June 2026, and business at hand will be the unveiling of the national budgets. Twagala okwebaza ntegezeddwako nti waliwo abadde balaba ebigenda mu maaso nga musinziira omukutu ogwa Star TV. Twagala okubeebaza nti mubadde kitundu ku nteekateeka eno. Omukulembeze w'eggwanga ayogedde ku bintu bingi era azzeemu okukaatiriza nti eri abo abakulembeze abatakola abaagala okukajjala mu ntebe n'okwegulumiza okweyogerako nga bwe bali abakulembeze nze minisita nze mubaka wa paalamenti nti wabula nga tebagasa bitundu byebakulembera. Ekisanja kino ajja kuba mukambwe muko, ajja kugjayo enjala okulaba ng'oba oli awo balina okuteeka essira ku buweereza. The President has emphasized that indeed he needs leaders who are going to be creating around change in whatever communities they are serving. He says, Chisanja no sleeping, Chisanja no to corruption. I just want to get one member of parliament here who has sat here attentively and listened to the President. The President has put everything in bold letters. What do you take home at the end of the day?
I want first of all to say that the emphasis has been more to do with poverty eradication in this country. I think if we mobilize our people, now that we have leaders, it is important that we have to really tell our people to get household income. Like for me in my area where I come from, Bududa, the circular road, Buchigai, Bubulo Road must be worked on. Even the our roads, even the settlement of my people. I think our people are in transit. But I think the President has been spot on. The question is to put money in agriculture. Agriculture is the main employment sector, and I think we must go by what he has said. We are meeting the budget next on 11th, and we hope that we shall articulate and ensure that the unemployment can be solved only if we add more money in agriculture. But the infrastructure is crucial, and also we must now focus on vocational skilling, because issue of people going out of the country, I think it's not their wish, but you can improve on their skills. So to me, my colleagues have heard. I want to thank the President, I want to thank all the leaders, that why not? We can work together and improve this country.
What do you make of the boycott by the opposition from this session?
I think they have let their people down. Because we were elected in parliament to represent our people. There's one head of state in this country. And if he gives the state of the national address, it affects all Ugandans. As leaders, in my opinion, I think they could have made a statement, but I think they have let down their people.
Thank you. For viewers, we want to pause it at this point, but the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, accompanied by the Chief Justice, I see also in companies the clerk to Parliament, they are making their way out of Kololo ceremonial grounds. For viewers, I want to say we have finally come to the conclusion of this year's State of the Nation address, and I cross back to the broadcast house for the normal programming. I've been Robert Onyango on behalf of the entire team which has worked here. I think we need to put all our eyes and ears on TV. Like the President has emphasized that it is through wealth pressure that our people can change their lives. Back to the broadcast house at 11.